What's up, guys? Today I want to talk about my worst rejection, and it actually happened today. And at the time, I was pretty crushed afterwards. Not, not like moping, sad, and sobbing to myself, but pretty crushed. And I'm gonna tell you the story. So, long story short, I don't want to keep this like my typical 30-minute videos. Um, I saw this girl in a clothing store, and before I could even finish my sentence, she looked at me and said no, and then walked away very quickly. And basically, what I said was, I went up to her and I said something like, "Excuse me," and basically she was like, those like circular sort of stands that hold clothing in the clothing store. Well, the moment I went up, she started walking around, and then I pretty much had to like chase her around the circle until she noticed me. I said like "excuse me" like two or three times, and then basically I said something like, um, "Excuse me, I was just looking at clothing, and then I saw you." And right as I said that, that's when she cut me off. She looked at me and said, "No, And her body language and the way she said it pretty much said, "No, I'm not interested." And then she walked off very quickly. And looking at it back then, I was pretty crushed, but having like a few hours to really adjust, um, I don't feel as bad. And that's the worst rejection I've had. And the thing is, I could have been doing anything. I could have asked her anything, said anything, and looking at it from just a dialogue perspective, it's pretty foolish for her to walk off before she even knows who I am or what I want. I mean, I could be telling her she dropped her purse, or just saying something like regarding a job or something else. And basically, my conclusion is that it all comes down to nonverbal cues that pretty much ended the conversation before it started. And looking back, I would say I did come across unconfident walking up, being sort of a little bit shy in a way, and the way I said it, it was just very stagnated. There was pauses in between my words, and basically, I guess it took such a long time for me to say it, and the way I said it was just so unconfident. She probably understood the whole vibe and what was going before it even happened. And so, looking at it from just a logical, objective dialogue standpoint, like as if you were just reading a paper and seeing this, it doesn't really make sense because I could have been anyone, I could have wanted anything. And so, I guess this is just an example of how much body language can play into such a thing, and just voice tonality, how you present yourself, the whole vibe you're feeling, and just the sort of self esteem you're projecting. And obviously there's other stuff like the physical aspect. Maybe she just looked at me and she's not into that type of person, and she just walked off. And some of you guys might be like, hey, is this girl super hot? No, she wasn't. She was a white girl. She was very petite, very short, very skinny, sort of like those, very petite girls. And yeah, she was very average in every sort of physical aspect you could say. And her hair wasn't like bright blonde. It was like the sort of average, sort of scruffy brown blonde, sort of like, and it wasn't combed at all. It was kind of, all over the place. But she obviously wasn't bad looking, and that is why I approached her. And quite honestly, I really had no other intentions other than to just compliment her and start a conversation. And that was my worst rejection as of today. And usually typical rejections go along the lines of something um, much nicer, because the girls, I guess, they don't want to hurt my feelings, so it's always very vague and unclear. But they're trying to pretty much, say like, "Oh, I have to go. I'm in a rush," and that's their way of leaving the scenario. And sometimes the girls are just they'll pretend not to be interested because they're truly not interested by just looking at their phone constantly when I'm talking to them. And so this is by far the biggest rejection, because she was just very clear from the start, and it was kind of vicious the way she said it. She was almost like, no way, no way at all, and she left. And she pretty much just walked off and went along her way to continue looking at clothes. And there's a lot of stuff I could have done differently after that point. I could have talked to her and said, "You don't even know what I'm gonna say," or just do it in a lot more confident way. Like if I had a strong sort of frame and vibe afterwards, I could have kept it more strong. But as you can tell from this video, I am still obviously not exploding with confidence, and I have no doubt in my mind that this sort of unconfidence is playing a good factor into this. And obviously, looks, physical appearance, that played into it as well. Again, maybe it was the glasses. My glasses are kind of weird. They're like oddly shaped, almost like they're bent. And yeah, maybe physical appearance. Obviously, I'm not like super buff or anything like that. So that's what happened. And there's a lot I could have said afterwards, but I was just so in shock by how brutally honest she was, and sort of just cold she was. She had no problem in just saying, "Nope, I'm not interested," and just rejecting me. And there's also a bunch of other reasons, but a lot of people say that the worst type of rejection, I feel, would be like if a girl slapped you across the face or something like that. And I don't think that's the case. I think what happened today was worse, because usually when girls slap you across the face, like if you picture the worst case rejection where a girl slaps you across the face, picture that ideal worst scenario. Most of the time, the girl slapping you across the face because you did something blatantly offending that 99% of society would deem offending. Maybe you were exceptionally sleazy or something like that. But in my case, I was just putting myself out there, and before I could even get in a sentence, she kind of just did it. And maybe partially it could have been because of my looks or just the general vibe, and it was just that sort of you're not good enough sort of thing. And honestly, afterwards I was so shocked I could not really respond or anyway before she walked off or anything. And that's just more proof that I had come into the whole interaction very shy and scared and unconfident to begin with. And so I kind of blew it from there. I was just so taken aback that I just froze there for a while. And afterwards I was kind of crushed, and kind of I got kind of angry, because I was like, why? That's not even fair. You don't even know what I'm gonna say. How could you just reject me without anything? And yeah, it wasn't like the worst crushed feeling I've ever had, but it was close, because I guess the worst one was probably the very first time I've ever been rejected, which is another story for another day. But that time it was more like it was more like my first experience, so it was harsher in certain ways. But at the same time, I've never like broken down and cried from it. I've just more sort of gotten hurt self-esteem wise, and that's it's like counterintuitive because confidence is what girls like, and yeah, at the same time, when you're practicing this, you can destroy your self-esteem and confidence. So I guess really it comes down to like really just having self-esteem no matter what happens. Like you have to be proud of yourself and love yourself no matter what happens. And I'm gonna probably talk about this in another video, but there's like different types of confidence. Like there's a type where a guy who's never been rejected just naturally gets super confident, and then there's the guy who's just as good looking and exactly the same as the other guy, except he's been rejected a lot of times and he has kept the confidence throughout. And it's just down to knowing who you are and just I guess keeping your self-esteem throughout. I don't know. Anyhow, leave some advice in the comments. Any feedback is appreciated. Anything that is nice and genuine would be well appreciated. Any more vile and vicious comments or anything, I mean, come on guys, it's probably not going to help. No one wants to read that or hear that, so leave that to yourself. And so I guess I could work on all these things, and there's always the possibility that she thought I was some sort of player or someone who's trying to pick her up, and I really wasn't. And I guess maybe she just naturally assumed it, and so she kind of just brushed me off. And I kind of don't blame her in certain ways because I was so nervous that I kind of like almost pre-planned what I was going to say, and maybe it came off robotic. Maybe it was just sort of nervous and strange and weird. I don't know. I really wish I could like at least voice record it to really like see it from a third person view, just to see what I did wrong. And maybe I'll just try that one time, because I know, at least for me in my 20 years of life, I haven't had much success. So yeah, I don't really think carrying some sort of voice recording thing just to see what I did wrong is going to matter, because it's to the point where it's almost like, you know what, I'm probably going to fail anyways. And I guess that's the one advantage to ugly people. Okay, I'm not ugly, but that's the one advantage to people who are just they're just not, you know, models. They can just sometimes they just give up. You know, they accept who they are, and it's debilitating. It's sad, and it can hurt your self-esteem if you let it, of course. And then you just sort of, you know, you're like, okay, it doesn't matter, I have nowhere to go but up now. There's nothing left to lose. Whereas a lot of other people, they have an ego, and that pretty much prevents them from ever approaching a girl. And I was kind of in that category before, you know. Like most guys, I had this sort of ego that didn't want to be rejected, so therefore I never approached. And because I never approached, I was always in my comfort zone, and yet I was always sad. So leave your feedback. And thinking about it now, there's a good like 20 or 30% chance that maybe she just thought I was some sort of player who's trying to pick her up, and she was just like, no, I don't want to hear your robotic canned line, and then she just leaves. And so yeah, a lot to work on. Obviously a lot I could have improved on before she responded and after she responded. And quite frankly, the most thing, obviously there's a looks factor that's bugging my insecurity, but also in terms of just personality, a lot of difference I could have done before and after, and just not really caring about her reaction, and just knowing who I am as a person, and then just being confident, because I was for sure just unconfident throughout and very, very shy. And that's all I have to say. A lot to work on, I guess. It's tough. It's tough. It was very crushing at the moment. But I guess this is just a vlog video for myself to improve, as well as anyone else who finds these useful and um, is looking to learn from others. Maybe you search this up because you are just scared of rejection because you've never approached before, and here's a video just showing you what happens. And it's not to discourage you in any way, it's just to show you that you move on, and you should still approach. And I know it's super, super hard, but here's the thing. A lot of YouTubers make millions of views on their videos by showing off, and showing off how great of a player they are by picking up a girl on the street and getting her phone number. But the thing is, I'm not here to show off and do that sort of stuff, because I know these YouTubers, and they have vlog channels as well that a lot of people don't watch, and it's very clear after a lot of videos I've seen that they don't really get actual success. Like, they just do this just to show off on YouTube, and like they'll get tens of thousands of comments praising them and telling them how great of a boss and how awesome they are. I mean, I've seen it, but it's quite clear that they actually don't really get actual results. I mean, if you see the behind the scenes and bloopers for a lot of these videos, right after they pretty much explain the whole thing, have to make them sign a release form and all this stuff, and that's not what I want. I don't want to show off and boost my ego and have some fake sort of persona that everyone thinks is super awesome. I just want actual results, and in the real world, at least for me, I get a lot of failures. So I think that would make me more happy than just faking decent approaches and showing off on YouTube. And so that's why I don't want to do that. And so thank you guys for watching all 20 minutes of this video. Shows again you have a lot of respect for me and this entire thing. A lot of people will click off after 1 minute, but you have stuck around for this entire thing, so it shows a lot of respect from you guys, and really just interest and knowledge that you want to gain from this video. And I know there's more to be said. I just can't remember what I need to say. I know there's more I wanted to tell you guys. So yeah, failed approach. Advice is requested and always welcome, but not needed, of course. And yeah, a lot of people will show off on videos, but I'm just looking to improve myself and get actual results. I think that would make me happier than just going on YouTube and highlighting the points where I do get a little bit of success. And most of those aren't really successful, because I've got numbers from decent looking girls, and it's always borderline decent looking, and they usually never text back or anything. And I've been told that ascribed to me just being too nice, too overly nice and fake and ingenuine, just like, oh yeah, but I don't think I'm like that anymore with girls, but it might still be there. And I guess the biggest thing is just you have to move on with rejection. You just have to move on. And finally, oh yes, I remember, the biggest thing is that I still have a lot of problems with approaching girls. You might have a different sort of idea of how I am if you've watched my other videos, but that's the truth. I still have a lot of limiting that has limited the girls I approach, which really limits myself, and isn't great at all. I just sometimes feel like, oh, maybe I should have approached there. And the thing is, today was a good example. Um, like right after what happened with the rejection, I really wanted to just not think about it, and it was hard because I was too scared to approach anyone, and there wasn't too many girls that I deemed that was in a situation where I could approach well. Some were with their other friends and stuff like that, and I was just telling myself, you have to, you have to not think about this. You can't think about this rejection. But I was, and obviously I was crushed in a way. So I tried to just approach someone else as quick as I can to sort of do that. And then for the next hour, I could not. Actually, I probably did not stay there for an hour. For the next half hour, I did not, and then I left the venue, and then I went back home and recorded this. But yeah, I know. I'm still kind of a loser, but my self-esteem, it's better. Um, I'm always looking to just be happy and be content with who I am right now, regardless of what life gives you. And so, I, the one thing that was irking me was this set of two girls who were sitting down, and had I approached, I might have been able to just alleviate this sort of maybe crushed feeling that I still feel lingering and that might linger for the rest of the day. But I did not approach. Why? Because they just gave off the very stuck up vibe, um, and they were both good looking girls, but they were deep in conversation. They gave up that stuck up sort of vibe, and the way they were dressed and their mannerisms and the way they were talking, it was just that sort of stuck up sort of vibe that you usually get with someone who thinks they're like better than you, like don't talk to me, that sort of thing. And like I had just experienced that rejection, so um, I just could not approach these girls because of that same sort of stigma, and I didn't want to get a double woozy because I didn't know if I could handle another rejection in a row. And obviously this is something I have to get rid of, but at the same time, for some reason, a stupid part of me inside is still, you know, it can't, some stupid part of me inside can't get over the fact that I did not approach these girls. And I I highly, highly doubt, even if they were receptive to my initial approach and didn't just reject me right off the bat, which I was so scared they would do, I would highly doubt it would have worked out. And even if it did, like, I was scared. I was scared that if it worked out, I would be drawn in to this sort of, ditzy, oh, I'm better than you, Hollywood sort of ditzy blonde girl lifestyle. And I was just scared in many ways from the vibe and mannerisms and body language these girls were giving off when they were talking to each other. Like, you could tell they were gossiping about all this stuff, and they had all this drama, and you could see it in their face and their mannerisms. And I'm not a person who likes any of that. And I don't know, a part of me, I guess the part who has read a little bit on dating online it can't get over the fact that I did not approach these girls. And I guess it's just the fact that maybe I could have gotten some success afterwards, and if I had gotten at least a favorable reaction, then that would have just sent me along a different path, and I wouldn't be dwelling on this rejection the entire day. And first off, you should never dwell on these types of things the entire day, nor should you look to a girl's reactions to dictate how your emotions are for the rest of the day. You should just be content and have solid self-esteem regardless of what happens. So that was first off. But yeah, a little part of me can't get over that fact, and basically what happened was I didn't approach, obviously, and I guess that part of me thought that there was still a chance, maybe it was only just 1% chance, that despite the sort of vibe that they were giving off with their body language, maybe they were very cool, nice, chill girls. And I guess at the same time, another part of me is telling me there's such a low chance that's the case. The way they were dressed, the way they were sort of, you know, wearing all their bracelets and necklaces and stuff, it just showed that they were very Hollywood, fake, sort of, plastic sort of personality. And so I don't know what you guys think about that. Leave your suggestions and advice in the comments. Do you think these girls were like that? Or am I going too far in judging a girl by her cover, and therefore I should not be making any of these statements until I actually approach and find out for myself, and that's what I should have done. I'm sure people will be split on this topic, and it's tough. I think for me, I should have maybe just approached, but at the same time, I know there's no way in hell, even if I was given another chance now, I would have the confidence to do so. Maybe not, probably not. And I don't know. It would have probably been a huge risk, and it might have left in failure, especially if I just went up very, very unconfidently. And yeah, almost for sure, I don't know if it would have worked out. And I guess it was just because I was already snowballing in the wrong direction with unconfidence. And so maybe it was better. So leave your comments below, and thanks for watching all 30 minutes of this. As always, like, favorite, and subscribe.